Welcome back to another edition of Our City. A few things going around the city of Elizabeth this week. On Thursday, February 19th and Friday, February 20th, I'm going to be joining the New Jersey Chamber of Commerce, which is a commerce train trip to Washington, D.C., and this annual trip provides unprecedented networking opportunities with the members of Congress and the business community throughout the state of New Jersey. The participants will attend the 78th annual congressional dinner as well in Washington, D.C. with our congressional delegation. On Saturday, February 21st of this week at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm going to attend a family pasta dinner, and it's a karaoke night benefiting Our Lady of Guadalupe School located on 227 Center Street. This is an event that was postponed from a couple of weeks ago due to snow and icy conditions. Later that evening at 7 o'clock starting, I will attend the Elizabeth Portuguese Lions Club's 36th anniversary dinner. This will be held at the Portuguese Instructive Social Club located at 417 U.S. Highway number 1. If you need more information concerning these events or any other events, please call our Public Information Office at 908-820-4124. And please stay with us after these messages, where I'll be joined by two members of the community who went to see the movie Selma with me last week.
We have some of the finest teachers in the country. And then they graduate. Kane University.
Welcome back to Our City, and I'm pleased to be joined by Miss Winona Ankrum and Miss Elaine Johnson, two seniors who joined me with about 140 others, and we went to see the movie Selma a couple of weeks ago. Ladies, thank you for joining us.
You're welcome. Thanks.
So first of all, I want to talk about yourself a little bit, and Winona, you've been on here plenty of times, so if it's all right with you, I'm going to start with Elaine, and Elaine, tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the movie.
Hello, my name is Elaine Johnson. I was born in Selma, Alabama, and we went to see the movie, which was a great movie.
And Winona, you've been active in the city for a lot of years, and you're on the Housing Authority. Tell us a little about yourself, and we'll go from there.
Well, I'm Winona Ankrum. I was born and raised here in Elizabeth, New Jersey. Love this city. And I'm a commissioner right now. I'm the chairman of the Elizabeth Housing Authority.
And tell us what your thought was on going to see the movie Selma with us and other seniors.
You know, I really enjoyed the movie. It was like a real impact on my life. And I think it comes from because of my grandmother, who was born 1900. And she was back in those days, and she used to tell me things that went on back in those days coming up, some of the things she had to do in order to survive and go through struggles back there then. So Selma was like the opening of a door. I've seen other movies about Dr. Martin Luther King, but this one had such an impact on me.
One of the stories, or the producer said, they tried to make it more like Martin Luther King as a person as opposed to as someone who was revered, and they brought him into everybody's living room.
Right, right.
Which was an interesting way to take it.
Yes, because it was more of a human part to this movie than the acting part to this movie. You know, it showed him where he did things they never showed on any of the other movies that was made about him. So he was real in this movie, not just made up, you know. I mean, not to say he was made up in any of the other ones, but there was more to his life in this one, you know, than it been in any of the other ones that I've seen.
Now, Elaine, you said in the opening remarks that you grew up in Selma, and you actually participated in these marches.
Yes, I did. I participated in the marches. We attend rallies at Brown Chapel AME Church. And we made camp in the street, slept in the streets, rain. It was devastating.
Now, Elaine, there were 3 marches. So as somebody who's read a lot of history. I was only familiar with Bloody Sunday, and a lot of people think that Bloody Sunday was the march.
Bloody Sunday was the first march, and that's where we were beaten on Bloody Sunday. After we crossed the bridge, we were met by state troopers, and they charged us and beat us. It was horrible.
Similar to the way the movie portrayed it?
Yes.
On horseback and just riding through?
Yes, that's exactly what happened to us.
So the people that were hurt, how did they eventually get picked up and moved for care if the law enforcement were the people that were beating them up? Who helped them get up?
We assist each other.
You did?
Yes, to the best of our ability. Congressman John Lewis, he was beaten tremendously bad. He was really beaten bad. Other people were beaten bad. I was beaten also. And we made it back to the church in Selma, and they attended to us. Yes, they did.
So the people that got back to the church, and that's where those that were still healthy, or
yes,
those that
some
were
had
not
to go to the hospital.
And it was up to the folks that were part of the march to get into the hospital.
Yes, yes, it was.
Now Martin Luther King was not part of that first march.
Not the first march. He was not there. No, he wasn't.
He came for the second and the third.
The second march and the third march is when Dr. King was there.
And all of the conversation about the first march, did it start in the church?
Yes, it did. The word spread it after we had rallies and different meetings at the church. We spreaded the word, pamphlets, leaflets. That's how the word was spreaded about the march.
And Winona, the movie Selma actually encapsulates the issue of Voting Rights Act of '65, which was eventually passed by the Johnson administration. But the right to vote, no matter where you lived, was never a guarantee.
It wasn't a guarantee, that's true. But we had our ancestors that was determined to make that a dream come true. And even now today, we have people that are registered to vote, but then don't go vote, not realizing that the vote is, how can I put it? It's something that people should use. They should use it because this gives them the opportunity of being able to make a change in things that go on. And back in '65 and before then, our ancestors struggled so hard to get the right to vote. And now we have the right to vote, but yet there's so many of them that just don't believe in the voting power anymore.
It's really difficult to understand.
Yes, it is.
How do you view that, Elaine, as somebody who actually was there, and now everybody has the right to vote, but they don't use it?
It's mind-boggling because I can't understand it. We've gone through so much to get the right to vote. And after we have achieved that, you have people that won't even attempt to go out and vote. And I can't understand it.
There was a part in the movie where the woman went up to register to vote at the county office, and she was asked in the movie the particulars, her name and her address, and she filled all that out. Then she was asked how many county probate judges are there in the state of Alabama, and she knew the answer.
Yes.
Which was 67, I believe, in the movie.
Correct.
But then they said to her, name them.
Yeah.
Right?
And then she was denied. I tell a story in my class that they used to ask how many people died in the Titanic, and they would come up with a number of 1,700 or 1,900 and what. If they knew the number, they would then say, well, name the people who died in the Titanic.
Well, you know, Mayor, I believe they was going to deny her even if she could have named every one of them because they had no intentions on letting her vote, period.
What do you hope young people take away from this film?
I hope they take away the knowledge of knowing how hard it was for our ancestors, the struggles that they had to go through, all the whippings and the beatings and being knocked down by water and cursed at and called all kind of names and, you know, just persecuted just for being black and feeling that you didn't have the right to have what other people had. You know, I think it was very, very, I'm hoping that they will open their eyes and look at life and say, okay, this is something that happened in our past. Let us not let this continue to happen in our future. Let us go out, vote. Let us get involved in our communities. Let us start doing things to help better and raise the younger ones coming up underneath us, to let them understand that everyone has a part to do in this, on this earth, and we need to share stories and tell. That's my father told me the stories. My father taught me Black history before it was even taught in the schools. My grandmother, she was part of history. She helped raise Bill Clinton. You know what I'm saying? She was in Battle Creek, Michigan is where my grandma, and she's well known in Battle Creek, Michigan for all the things that she's done. So I'm proud. And like she told me, she passed down stories to me, my father. I pass them down to my grandchildren, and I'm hoping my grandchildren pass them down to their children and let them understand. I mean, life is beautiful.
So, Elaine, in a march of that magnitude today, social media would take over Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything else in order to, how did they get people of that numbers to march in 1965?
Like I said earlier, it was due to the meetings that was being held at the church, the rallies that we held, and passing out pamphlets, letting people know what was going on and when the march was going to take place.
I guess when, after the Bloody Sunday and the beatings that went on TV around the nation helped get a lot of people there from other parts as well.
It really did, because after Bloody Sunday, people came from all over and participated in the march. It was, oh, how would I say it? It was so many people there that you wouldn't have known it would have that type of magnitude.
Did you learn anything new from the movie about a civil rights movement? Was there anything that stood out for you?
No, not really nothing new, because I was aware of it. Once you live it, it's etched in your mind. You never forget it. And it was something that you just have to, you know, deal with and come to grips with, that life is about making changes, righting the wrongs of America, letting the young people know that violence is not the answer. There are other ways that we can solve problems. And I think that's what Dr. King was about, nonviolence. And I've grown up like that all of my life.
Why don't anything come out of that movie for you? Anything new? Being someone who grew up in the North compared to Elaine who grew up in the South.
Yeah, well, you know, like I said, the movie had a great impact. But you know, the most devastating part of that movie to me was when the church blew up on those little girls.
That was the opening scene, too.
I was just, I mean, I think the whole theater just froze. You know what I'm saying? I had my hand in the popcorn bag trying to get me some popcorn out. And when that blast took place, it was like it actually hit me. And I was like, oh my God. You know, you hear about it, but to actually see it, and so, you know, that part was new to me because I've always heard about it.
Well, we always knew the 4 girls died in a church bombing.
But never seen the impact that it actually took on
I guess that's a
those
little,
children.
we didn't know what those girls were doing at the time, and they kind of showed them enjoying a Sunday morning together.
Yes, which they should have been able to enjoy and grow up and live.
And they never got to do that.
Murdered.
No, they didn't.
Right.
No. I want to thank the two of you for taking the time to join me on the show, and I also want to thank you for joining me on that morning when we went to see the movie, because it was a very moving morning for all of us. So
Yes.
thank you, Elaine, and thank you, Winona.
Thank you
welcome.
for having
Thank you.
me.
Please stay with us after these messages. We're back with more of Our City.